The 1960s are often regarded as the golden age of muscle cars, a period when American automakers pushed the boundaries of power, performance, and style. Icons like the Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Camaro, and Dodge Charger dominated the roads, capturing the imaginations of drivers who crave speed and excitement. However, not every car from this era was a roaring success. Some muscle cars, despite their promises of high performance, fell short of expectations due to design flaws, poor engineering, or simply a lack of the true muscle car spirit. We'll explore the worst muscle cars made in the 1960s, vehicles that, for various reasons, failed to live up to the hype of this celebrated era. Number 1. 1962 Plymouth Fury Golden Commando 413. The Plymouth Fury from the early 1960s had all the makings of a legitimate muscle car. By 1962, the Fury had undergone a redesign and was powered by a 413 cubic inch engine. It was marketed as a high-performance vehicle that could hold its own against other muscle cars of the time. However, the Golden Commando version with the 413 engine was a disappointment for a few key reasons. The Fury Golden Commando's main problem was that it tried to marry too many qualities: luxury, size, and muscle. The result was a bulky car that lacked the nimbleness and aggressive edge that muscle car enthusiasts sought. Although the 413 engine had impressive horsepower on paper, it didn't translate well to real-world performance. The car's excessive weight offset much of its power, leading to sluggish acceleration and a lackluster driving experience. The Fury's styling was another problem. While subjective, many found its design to be overly boxy and out of step with the sleek lines of other muscle cars of the era. It simply didn't have the visual appeal or performance chops to stand out in the fiercely competitive muscle car market. Number 2. 1966 Dodge Charger. The Dodge Charger is one of the most iconic names in muscle car history, but the first generation, released in 1966, was far from the sleek and powerful beast that it would become in later years. The 1966 Charger was a full-size fastback with an emphasis on styling over substance. While it had a powerful engine lineup, including the 426 Hemi V8, it was let down by its cumbersome handling, weight, and lack of real innovation. The main issue with the 1966 Charger was its identity crisis. Dodge marketed it as both a high-performance muscle car and a luxurious fastback, but it struggled to excel at either. The car's large size and heavy weight hindered its performance capabilities, especially compared to lighter, more agile competitors like the Mustang and Camaro. Its design, which featured a massive rear overhang, also did nothing to help its handling or appeal to muscle car fans who crave speed and sportiness. Additionally, the interior was a peculiar mix of luxury and sport, with features like full-length bucket seats and a futuristic dashboard, but it lacked the simplicity and focus that muscle car drivers typically preferred. Sales were disappointing, and it wasn't until Dodge revamped the Charger in 1968 that it became the beloved muscle car we know today. Number 3. 1967 Pontiac Firebird OHC6. Pontiac's Firebird was introduced in 1967 to compete with the Ford Mustang and the Chevrolet Camaro. While the Firebird would eventually become one of the greatest muscle cars ever made, its debut wasn't quite as impressive, particularly when equipped with the overhead cam inline-six engine OHC6. This version of the Firebird was a curious choice for a muscle car, as it lacked the raw power and V8 engine that defined the segment. Pontiac's decision to offer a six-cylinder version of the Firebird was an attempt to appeal to a broader market, but it ultimately alienated muscle car purists. The OHC6 engine was advanced for its time, featuring an overhead camshaft design, but it didn't deliver the kind of performance expected from a muscle car. With only about 165 horsepower, the Firebird OHC6 was sluggish and lacked the aggressive acceleration that muscle car enthusiasts demanded. Moreover, the Firebird OHC6 suffered from reliability issues, particularly with its complex valve train. This made the car not only underpowered but also expensive to maintain, further diminishing its appeal. while later versions of the Firebird will redeem the name, the 1967 OHC 6 model remains one of the more forgettable muscle cars of the 1960s. Number 4. 1968 AMC Javelin SST. AMC entered the muscle car market with the Javelin in 1968, positioning it as a competitor to the Mustang and Camaro. However, the Javelin SST, while bold in appearance, fell short in several key areas. The car had an aggressive design that promised high performance, but its actual capabilities were underwhelming compared to other muscle cars of the time. One of the main issues with the Javelin SST was its engine options. While it was available with a V8, the standard engine was a relatively weak inline-six, which didn't provide the kind of power that muscle car buyers expected. Even the available V8 options, which included a 290 and 343 cubic inch engine, failed to deliver the same punch as competitors' offerings. The car's handling was also subpar, with a suspension setup that favored comfort over performance. The Javelin SST styling was polarizing as well. While some appreciated its long hood and fastback roofline, others found it awkward and ungainly. The interior was similarly divisive, with materials and build quality that felt cheap compared to Ford and GM's offerings. Overall, the 1968 Javelin SST was a disappointment that couldn't keep up with the heavy hitters of the muscle car world. Number 5. 1964 Ford Thunderbolt. The Ford Thunderbolt, a special edition drag racing car, was a mixed bag. While it boasted incredible straight-line performance, thanks to its 427 cubic inch V8 engine, it was a disaster in just about every other aspect. Ford designed the Thunderbolt as a bare-bones racing machine, stripping away almost all creature comforts and using lightweight materials like fiberglass to keep the weight down. This made it lightning fast in a straight line, but also virtually undrivable in normal conditions. The Thunderbolt's biggest problem was its single-minded focus on drag racing. It had no regard for handling, comfort, or even safety. The car's massive engine caused serious balance issues, and the lightweight body panels made it fragile and prone to damage. Additionally, the lack of basic amenities like proper seats and sound insulation meant that driving the Thunderbolt on public roads was a nightmare. While it was a successful race car, its impracticality and extreme focus on straight-line speed made it one of the least versatile and worst-rounded muscle cars of the 1960s. Number 6. 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. The Mercury Cougar was introduced as a more upscale alternative to the Ford Mustang, and by 1969, the Cougar Eliminator aimed to capture the muscle car crowd. Unfortunately, the Cougar's inherent focus on luxury meant that the Eliminator model was never going to be a true muscle car. While it had a variety of powerful engine options, including the 428 Cobra Jet, the Cougar Eliminator struggled with its identity. The car was too large and heavy to be a serious contender against lighter, more agile muscle cars. Its handling was sluggish, and the emphasis on luxury features diluted the raw performance that muscle car fans sought. The Cougar Eliminator's styling was also a point of contention. While it was sleek and attractive in its own right, it didn't have the aggressive look that characterized the best muscle cars of the era. As a result, the Cougar Eliminator was stuck in a strange middle ground, neither a true luxury car nor a legitimate muscle car. While the 1960s produced some of the most iconic and beloved muscle cars of all time, it also saw its fair share of misfires. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Cars like the Plymouth Fury Golden Commando 413, Dodge Charger, and Pontiac Firebird OHC 6 struggle with identity crises, poor performance, and design flaws that prevented them from reaching the same heights as their more successful contemporaries. These vehicles serve as reminders that even during a golden era, not every car could be a hit.